Welcome back to the Voices of Women Summit, where in honor of International Women's Day 2023, we are raising the voices of hundreds of women so that their messages can be heard. Your host for this session is Ginny Trask. Ginny is the co-host of Speakers Playhouse and co-creator of Work Party by Blissed Out Business. She has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Ginny.
Hello, ladies. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here with our next guest because she is one of my favorite freaking people in the world. We're here with Kitti Andrews. Welcome, Kitti.
Thank you, Ginny. Back at you.
Kitti and I just got to spend some days together in Dallas, Texas for our Speakers Playhouse live event for Speakers Playhouse, and we had such a great time. It was so much fun.
It was.
Kitti is here to talk to us about 3 easy steps from clutter to cash flow. Remove the barriers to your bottom line. So Kitti is also known as your thought organizer and is a highly sought after expert in decluttering the space and the brain. For over 20 years, she has been helping people to get unstuck and out of a state of overwhelm by getting their physical and mental surroundings under control. Kitti has been interviewed on over 50 shows and podcasts and has contributed to articles in the Los Angeles Tribune, and it has an upcoming interview in USA Today. Oh my God, that's amazing. Ms. Andrews lends her expertise in supporting causes including ADHD awareness, classroom hunger, and teen suicide prevention. So Kitti, tell us a little bit about how you came to be so passionate about this decluttering of both the brain and the space. I know a lot of people work on the space, but you work in both areas.
I do, and honestly, Ginny, and thank you for having me again. It goes back to my childhood. I believe my need for order goes back to my childhood, and a surprising part of that you deserve my cat. Of course.
We just had dogs in here before we went live, guys. They were barking and acting a fool because we got an Amazon package. So, it was an exciting moment in our lives.
But we love them, don't we? We've all seen that picture of the little kid that's very, very carefully playing with the building blocks, and he's looking very intently at it, and it has to be absolutely perfect. Well, that was me. When I was 2 years old, my parents said I was uncommunicative. They didn't know what to do with me. And that was before autism was a thing, was even known about. But that seemed to have worked to my advantage through my life, because we'll just fast forward to my one of my first jobs as a file clerk, and I got promoted from being a file clerk. And one of the women came to me and said, would you consider coming back to working for us part-time, because we can't find anything anymore. You're the only one who could keep us straight. and then into a restaurant career that they would vote me to clean the walk-in fridge so they could find the yogurt. Finding the yogurt was a good thing. And then into a cleaning business where I just always found myself wanting to not only clean and detail, but to kind of move things around a little bit so that they felt better, so that they just something wasn't right. And so that's where I am right now with, in fact, I did ask one client to start cleaning basically decluttering before I got there because I couldn't clean. Yeah. And she was horrified, and she did it. She said, "You're absolutely right." Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. That was kind of a stressful moment. But anyway, that is where I am now, where I've just discovered that people feel calmer. When I was still in the cleaning business, I found that people felt calmer in a tidier space. Now, it's not just about Pine Sol, which I don't use Pine Sol, but what have you, right? They didn't so much care about the cleaning, but they wanted things to be serene when they would come home. And it's morphed into virtual decluttering before virtual was even a thing. And here we are having this conversation.
I love it. I love it. So, by the way, you have lots of love in the chat. Judy Wong says, Kitti is awesome. Chris says, congratulations on your USA Today interview. And Lauren says, I love Kitti Andrews. The saying behind you, clear the clutter, calm the chaos. Totally agree that just having your space clean, it makes a huge difference to me, for sure. I'm more focused. I am more calm. It just makes a big difference. Sometimes it's like I can't breathe, right? Because it's too cluttered. So I know that you have 3 steps here from clutter to cash flow. So what is the first step that you typically, take here with people?
I'll give you, it's a great question. I'm going to give you, if you don't mind, give you a quick overview and then dive quickly into the steps.
Sounds good.
And it's just called my one system. And what is that one system? It's one room at a time, one area of that room at a time, and one thing at a time. Now, a lot of the reason why people are afraid to declutter, or they just don't feel confident with it, or they get overwhelmed. Yeah, that's the big O, but not the one that you're thinking about. Okay. They get overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So if you start with, let's take the one room at a time. Don't bounce back and forth between say your office and your bedroom, partly because you're going to forget where you were when you came back into the first room. Second part is, and I'll explain why I've done this as well. Second part is one area of that room at a time. And the same deal. You can focus on that one area and see some accomplishment, and then that gives you momentum and confidence to keep going. But if you're bouncing around all over the place, and that's easy to do, especially if you are an ADHDer, which 95% of my clients are. That is why I've designed this system that way. Now, the most challenging part is the one thing at a time. Is it tedious? Yes, I'm afraid it is. Is it time consuming? Yeah, it is. But is it also the number one way that you will stay decluttered for life? Yes. Would you like to know why? All right, because you are training your brain to you're retraining your brain. And I'll give you a quick example. My very, very first client, she had a huge L-shaped desk, 6 inches, like this, 6 inches of paper all over it. You didn't know what color the desk was. She said, "You're out of your tree. I am not going through these papers one paper at a time." I said, and she was my first client. I didn't know what else to say. What if she?
That was it. That was what you came prepared with.
Right. But then she said, "Okay, well, I'll give it a shot." And she started going through it. And then she started to, after about 5-6 minutes, she started to say, why do I have these bank statements? My accountant doesn't need them. I don't need them. I can get them online. Bills, like utility bills, I don't need them. My husband declares the taxes, so I don't need these. I can get them online. Trade magazines. She had trade magazines going back 8 months, and she said, they're out of date. Within a month or 2 of buying them, I can't use them. Phew. So here's where the magic happened. Was our next session, she said, I was in that store where I buy that magazine, and my hands started to just automatically reach for it. And she would, wait a minute now, I just threw out about $50-$60 worth of magazines. Put the magazine back, did not buy it. That's what I mean by retraining the brain. You're starting to think differently about all your possessions. And once you have decluttered one area, the exact same principles they follow in your office, in your bedroom, in your closet, so that at the end of it, you can declutter any room, anytime, anywhere, for anyone, because you've got these basic principles. But the key is its simplicity. Keep it as simple, the KISS method, but keep it as simple as you can. Smallest common denominator, and that will keep your momentum going. And most important, keep your overwhelm at bay and raise your confidence.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can totally see how that would retrain your brain. And you say it's from clutter to cash flow. Not spending money really helps the cash flow, right? So now she's like, look, I just threw out like 50 of these, right? At 5 or 7 or however many bucks a piece. I mean, that still makes a difference, right? And it's even those little things where we may be needlessly spending on magazines or things like that are cluttering us up. And so not only are you clearing the clutter, but you're also keeping yourself from spending by retraining that habit. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And how many of us have paid late fees or just forgotten to pay a bill at all because we couldn't find the bill? Guilty as charged here.
Yep.
And it's embarrassing. This was during this is me. I'm not supposed to be losing things, but sometimes life happens. So if you have some sort of system that whether it's, for me, it's either every Saturday, sometimes it's Monday, but once a week I will pay the same. I break them down into weekly payments so that it is a habit. The cell bill gets $20, the internet gets $40, whatever it is, right? So that it's ingrained in my brain. Once a week I am paying bills. And somebody else can be different, but whatever it is, it's got to be a system that works for you. And yes, you're going to need to tweak it, and maybe somebody can advise you. It takes time, but believe me, it's worth it. I have not had an overdue cell bill, any bill, in 3 years.
Wow. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it, Kitti. So yeah, so really systematizing as well, right? In addition to going through those pieces. So okay, so what other steps should we be following here as we're going along? Because we did the one, which is the one room, one area, one thing at a time, basically, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Oh, I know. When it comes to the one room, please, in the name of all that's holy, don't start with in the basement that has 30 years worth of Christmas decorations. Don't do that to yourself. And that is the natural tendency, because that is what we want to achieve. We want to get that basement. We've all either had or seen basements like that. Right. And sure, absolutely, you want to be an overachiever, and you want to beat your chest and say, yeah, I got the basement done. Don't do that to yourself. Instead, I suggest, and it's worked for me, it's worked for my clients, is start with the smallest room in the house, if you can get away with this. And you can even do the closet in that smallest room. And you're wondering why I suggest this, aren't you?
I am, and we have some great comments from the audience. Kelly says, I cleaned out a drawer yesterday and it was an epic accomplishment. Chris says, I recently cleaned out the furnace room and got rid of 6 old suitcases, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, so tell me more about why you're saying that, like why it's like the smallest room, the smallest thing.
Because again, Jenny, it's the sense of accomplishment. Now you're going to still have a lot of stuff in that closet. If you're anything like me, I'm about to move, as you know, and things accumulate after 5 years. Not all of us mine, some of us my father's. It's things will accumulate, and what is going to happen is you just again don't know where to start. So if you start in the smallest area and get that done, I've got another thing to say about that as well. What a surprise. You get that sense of accomplishment that, okay, that's done. I can't believe I got that done, but it's done. Another corollary to that is schedule how you do it. Oh. Don't try to do the whole thing at once. I have, and this is recently, a few months ago, I thought, okay, I'm going to clean out this particular closet, and I will be able to do it in about 3-4 hours because I am a professional. I help people do this. 6 hours later, I was not a happy camper. No, I wasn't. I was one grumpy girl, and it's a good thing that I'm single, because I tell you what, nobody would, even the cat wouldn't have wanted to be here. All right. So do a schedule. I suggest either schedule a portion of, we're going to say closet, maybe the left-hand side. Choose one. I'm going to do the left-hand side and then walk away from it. Or you can do it in, I suggest 45 to 50 minutes. Why? Because your attention span goes to rat poop after that. All right. It just does. Decision fatigue hits, and you're ineffective. So you're wasting your time. My sessions end after about 50 minutes because I can see that little battery icon in their head going, Ew! All right. And you're just spinning your wheels and wasting your time.
Yeah.
So making sure that you keep it in short, manageable increments. Is it, oh, well, that's going to take too long, Kitti? Yes, I know it will. But you're saving time in the long run by pacing yourself. Are you going to run the Boston Marathon tomorrow? No, you're not. You're going to train up slowly, an extra few blocks running, whatever it is, all the time. Well, same deal with everything, and especially with something as mentally taxing as decluttering. Oh, I'm just throwing things away. No, you're making decisions. A lot of decisions, and that is tiring on your brain. You know how it is when would you agree with me that you maybe do a day's worth of housework as opposed to an hour's worth of, well, should I do the decision thought work?
Right.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
So that's my other suggestion.
I agree, Kitti. I think that a part of the reason that we pull back from decluttering is that we sort of inherently know that we're gonna have to make a bunch of decisions. And you're right, like it's still way easier, like, and I'm still cleaning, right? If I sweep the floors or mop the floors or vacuum, right? That's still easier for me than decluttering, because my thought is that there's going to be all these decisions that I have to make. So I love your suggestion to just do 45 to 50 minutes, because that's really all we're good for, right? Before we're going to hit decision fatigue and we're going to burn it out, right? And just do that. I'm a part of your Facebook group, and I got inspired by this method of doing one room, one area, one thing at a time. And I did my bathroom. I actually have, my house was built in 1964. So my master bathroom is actually very small, right? And all I have is like these two little cabinets. And so one day I just did one of the cabinets, one of the small cabinets. And I threw away like such an incredible amount of stuff. And now I had a shelf that had like, or a windowsill that had like all this stuff on it. I was able to take everything off that windowsill and put it inside the cabinet now, because I threw so much away, right? And then now I can do, I did the lower cabinet, right? Then I was so inspired, I did my pantry. So you're right, breaking it down into these small like little sections of 45 minutes to an hour is super helpful, and it's really made a difference in my ability to declutter, because I just back burner that shit all day long, because I'm really avoiding the decisions, because as a business owner, I make decisions all day, every day.
Yes.
Right. So I don't want to on the weekends make decisions or come home and make decisions. But if it's only 45 minutes, like it's like, I can do that.
And if you make a good point there about entrepreneurs, which most of our audience are, many of them are, and I've made enough decisions. I just don't wanna. All right, and I'm going to stomp my little foot. If you don't have 45 minutes, then you may want to, and I've done this as well, designate, say for example, 10 minutes at the end of the day, even 5 minutes when you come in, just to tidy your entrance, because as I teach in my feng shui class, is your entrance is very important when you come in. So if you take 5 minutes when you come home to make sure the kids' shoes are they're in the closet, okay, yeah, take 5 minutes to declutter something. Then you will have done something, and you won't feel guilty for doing nothing. And you maintain it that way as well, because you're training your, what are you training, Jeannie?
Your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So we're getting so much love for you in the chat, Kitti. Sherry says these are great ideas. Lauren says these are great tips, Kitti. I gotta get on the declutter train. Chris says you complete one thing you never thought you would do, and then you ask, what's next? You get momentum from the small steps. Those are such great tips. So Kitti, now you have a free gift for our audience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I do. Thanks for asking. It is a PDF, 7 easy steps to conquer your physical and mental clutter. It's intended as a grounding tool for your declutter journey and beyond, because what's the use to go do all that work of decluttering without keeping it that way? And it's meant to be followed step by step. Again, to reduce the overwhelm, and it comes with 7 short little videos so that you never feel alone in the process. Yes, I'm in your head. Yeah.
Awesome. And guys, I know I mentioned earlier that Kitti has a Facebook group. So if you would like to connect with Kitti, you can email support@voicesofwomensummit.com. We'll connect you with Kitti and she can invite you to her Facebook group so that you guys can get in that, because I have gotten some wonderful momentum and tips, and it's nice to see everybody in the group like encouraging each other and cheering each other on. So if you guys would like that, I really find it a really, I love the group. It's very encouraging, very helpful. So we're going to put that in the chat. It's support@voicesofwomensummit.com. If you email that and say, connect me to Kitti, then they'll connect you to Kitti and she can invite you into her world in a bigger way. Of course, when you get that freebie, you're going to be connected with her as well. So from there, you guys can connect with Kitti and get into that Facebook group, because it really is awesome to be in her world. All right. So Chris says she got the download. Thanks so much, Kitti, for that. So we're going to skedaddle out of here in a second. We have some great speakers coming up next. Next on this track, we have Anna Yu Chun Chen, and then of course on the other tracks we have 15 amazing speakers. You guys can check out the schedule to see which speaker you would like to see up next. But Kitti, any final words for our audience before we jet out of here?
Yes. The declutter journey can be a lonely one, but it doesn't have to be. Reach out if you need help, as I reached out to my neighbor to help me, and that's me reaching out. All right. And don't give up. Do not give up on yourself. Just keep it small and simple, and you will succeed. I guarantee it.
Oh, I love it, Kitti. Thank you so much. Keep it small and simple. Connect with Kitti so you can be in her world. She will help you not feel so alone in this. Rachel says she loves it. Judy says she loves you, Kitti. You got so much love in the chat. It's fantastic. So guys, we are going to jet out of here. We will see you on the next talks in just 5 minutes, well, 7 minutes. We're going to jet on out of here, and we will see you on the next ones.
Bye.